What's up, guys? Rick here to talk about why I currently think betting on player props is the best way to allocate your funds, and honestly, one of the easiest ways to make money in this evolving sports betting industry. I'm going to walk you through the ways that I basically, without much skill or much thought, have been able to make about $1,000 a month playing props. It's something that I think literally anyone can do because I'm doing it on a lot of sports that I don't have much knowledge about. I'll jump into the strategies, show you a couple ways to do things, and hopefully you'll find the same level of success that I have. Let's just start with what a prop is. And I think a couple of years ago, this would have been considered a degenerate's way to bet, but now it's a little bit more of a mature sports betting industry. You have an opportunity to bet on lots of different things from different sports. You can see here I've got NBA players over under on points, or you could do it for rebounds and assists and three-pointers made, or you can go to Major League Baseball and look at starting pitchers and how many strikeouts they're going to record, or how many total bases a hitter is going to record. And there's just so many options now that this is a more mature way of wagering, but it's still a very inefficient way of wagering. Think about this. If you're betting on an over-under or the side of an NFL football game, there is so much money being pumped into basically every single game that those lines are very, very efficient. Odds makers are awesome at setting lines. They kind of get a lot worse on props. Let's be real. They can't have efficient lines on everything. There's not enough money to warrant the effort being put in to make efficient lines on everything. I'm showing PrizePicks here. PrizePicks is the site that I use for making these prop entries. And look at all the sports they have. They've got League of Legends. They have disc golf, MMA, tennis, NCAA basketball, PGA cricket. There is just no way that they are efficient at setting lines at all of these. It's impossible. And I think without much skill and just a little bit of research, you're going to be able to see that very, very quickly and take advantage of it. So the way that this works is that you build over-under entries, essentially. So I can take Trae Young and I can take Karis LeVert, and I can say over for Young, under for LeVert on their number of points to be scored. If I get both of those correct, I'm going to get a 3 times return on my money, so turn $20 into $60. And the more legs that you add to this, the higher the payouts become. So if I add a third player and take the over, you're going to see that these payouts change to now 5 times your money. That's called a power play, where I have to get all 3 correct, or I could go with a flex play. If I get all 3 correct, I win 2.25 times my money, but I'll still make money if I only get 2 right. So a flex play gives you a little bit of leeway to be incorrect on one of the legs. A power play, you've got to be right on every leg, but you make more money in the process. I can continue to go and add up to 5 different legs of this, and then depending on what I choose, you can see payouts upwards of 10 times or 11 times or 12 times on your return. And what's really great about it is that you can go cross sport. I can have NBA props mixed with Major League Baseball props mixed with PGA props, and I can build these out until my heart's content. So I'll talk a little bit more about the best way to build out these entries in just a second, but know that there are basically infinite options available to you. And that's really good, because when there are infinite options available to you, it's going to be a lot easier for us to figure out where the edges are. So my process every morning is very, very simple. I don't know a lot about other sports besides golf. If you follow this channel regularly, that's all I do is data analysis for the PGA Tour and for golf in general. So I don't know a lot about these other sports, but I don't think I have to. I just can click through and see Major League Baseball. There is a prop option for first inning runs allowed. Well, I know that that's probably something that's being offered at other sports books, and I can try to find what the odds are for these outcomes happening. Now, basically every single line set on PrizePicks for is there going to be a first inning run allowed is a half a run. So if you think a run is going to be scored, you take the over. If you don't think a run is going to be scored, you take the under. I don't need to be a Major League Baseball fanatic to know that some of these teams are much more likely to score than others are. So what I really just do is I'll go over to my book of choice, which might be DraftKings Sportsbook, which is what I'm showing you right now. And I just start looking for the first inning run totals and start to see which the favorites are. So as I scroll through, I can see minus 145 for the Phillies and Marlins to score under a half a run. Okay, well, the under is minus 145. What else do we have? Minus 140 for the Giants and the Guardians to go under. Minus 140 for the Rays and the White Sox to go under. Here we go, minus 145. That's the biggest one we've seen so far. The Angels and the Rangers to go over a half a run. What else do we have? Do we have any other minus 140s, minus 145s? No. Okay, so that seems to be the biggest. So let's do that. Let's take under on the White Sox and the Rays at minus 140, and let's take the over on the Angels and the Rangers at minus 145. Well, if I were to parlay these two together at DraftKings Sportsbook, I would be paid out plus 189. My $100 would return $289. Oh, maybe you can't see that. Hold on. Let me make it a little bit smaller. There we go. So you can see 100 to pay out $289. Let's go back to PrizePicks and see what we have there. So under on the White Sox, over on the Angels. So let's see. Under on the White Sox, over on the Angels. My $100 pays me $300 compared to the $289 that I'm going to get from DraftKings Sportsbook. Already, we are finding value from what the odds makers say the kind of the closer to the true odds, right? They're doing a better job of coming up with the true odds of this happening. PrizePicks just has to set the lines at a half a run, and they just have to go with it. Well, I mean, if I were to take the other side of these, if I were to take what DraftKings says are by far the dog side of it, which would be the under on the Angels and Rangers and the over on the White Sox and the Rays, it's still 3-1. So where DraftKings is working into the juice, PrizePicks in this situation is not. You know whose advantage that is? It's our advantage. I don't know anything about these two teams or really baseball in general. I've already found an edge. Let's go to a sport that I know even less about. NHL. Shots on goal. That seems like an interesting one. Seems to be at least a bit consistent game after game. You're not asking, goals and assists seem a little bit more lucky, but shots on goal feels a little bit more sustainable to me. And again, I'm just looking for big numbers. I'm looking for big favorites. Anthony Duclair. I might be pronouncing that wrong. I don't even know. Minus 155, under 2.5. And let's find the other game on the slate. Anders Lee, minus 155 to go over 1.5 shots on goal. So if I put $100 on this at DraftKings Sportsbook, which again, doing a better job of actually predicting the outcome, they're only going to pay me pay me $270. That's plus $170. If I do that here on PrizePicks, I go under 2.5 on Duclair, over 1.5 on Anders Lee, which is exactly what I had over here. My $100 is now going to pay out $300 compared to the $270. I know it seems small, but these are the tiny little edges that add up constantly over the course of a week, a month, a year, when you're finding all these little edges because PrizePicks is paying you out too much. They're paying you out too much. That's what this is saying. They're paying you out too much. They all add up over time. You want to get even freakier? Let's go back to those Major League Baseball first inning bet props, and let's add them to our existing list of 2 NHL props. So we had the Rays and White Sox under a half a run, and the Angels and Rangers over a half a run. A $100 4-leg prop would pay out at DraftKings $783. Let's go do it at PrizePicks. $783. Okay, let's go back to PrizePicks. Do Major League Baseball. First inning runs allowed. Under on the White Sox and the Rays. Over on the Angels and the Rangers. That would pay out $1,000. 10-1. So that is a $217 difference in payouts from the place that's actually trying to predict the outcome and PrizePicks. It's a huge difference. So when you start, again, adding this up, adding multiple legs to it. Now, I'm going to talk about the pros and cons of having 2 prop entries, 3 prop, 4, even 5. But you can see you take a lot of little inefficiencies, you multiply them together, you start to get more inefficiencies. Now, that's on the power play. You could flex this and, still get paid out on only getting 3 correct. You wouldn't make as much if you were getting 4 correct, but if you were a little risk adverse, this is a good way to do it. But I'll describe some other ways to do this in just a second. But I believe that I have just illustrated with complete zero lack of knowledge about these sports, how you can go get significantly better lines and have a site like PrizePicks pay you out too much. They're also running a bunch of promos. So there's a link in the description. And if you sign up and deposit with the code RICK, they give you 100% instant deposit match up to $100. I win on that. You win on that. And clearly we've got a value situation that they are already paying out too much on these props. All right, so here's where things get really nerdy and you can kind of see what your edge is. So if I was choosing to just continue to roll with these 4 options, I think one of the biggest mistakes that people make is that they just play all 4 together. I get it. It's the sexiest. You can turn $20 into $200 or $100 into $1,000. I get it. I get why people do this. And I'm going to do this, but I'm going to split them up into 2-leg entries and 3-leg entries, as well as my 4-leg, because I don't want to have to be perfect. I want to be close to perfect and still make a little money. Okay, so bear with me on the nerdy stuff here. So I've just got an example spreadsheet to show you how I would break up this 4-leg entry into the various other combinations. And just for the purpose of this exercise, we're going to call each leg, each of the wagers that we've made, A, B, C, and D. That way we can keep track of what's going on here. So obviously my original 4-leg parlay, that's A, B, C, and D all together. Well, then I'm going to break that up into 2-leg entries. A and B, that's one. A and C, A and D, B and C, you see where this is going. B and D, and C and D. So that is 6 individual 2-leg entries. And when we win those, it will return $300 or 3 times our entry. For the sake of this exercise, I'm using a $100 wager on all of these so you can kind of see how it all shakes out. So then I've got all my 2-leg entries done. And then I've got all my 3-leg entries done. So that's A, B, and C, A, B, and D, B, C, and D, and A, C, and D. And the idea around this is that I don't have to be perfect. Oftentimes I'm going to lose, but when I win, I'm going to win a lot. And the way that this ends up shaking out looks like this on the right. So because we know the money lines for each one of these events happening, A, B, C, and D, we know the probability of each one of them happening individually, and then also the probability of them happening together. So we are going to get exactly 0 of these correct about 2.5% of the time. We're going to get them all wrong 2.5% of the time. When that happens, we're in big trouble. We're going to lose all of our entries. In this case, it's $1,100. We are going to get one of them right on about 15% of the time. On those entries, we are going to lose them all again. So basically, this is not necessarily for the weak of heart, because 18% of the time, we are going to get wiped. We're going to lose everything. We're going to get exactly 2 right about 34% of the time. Now, when we do that, we're going to take a loss, but we're going to take a smaller loss. So, for example, when we get just A and B right, we're going to lose the 4-leggers, we're going to lose the 3-leggers, we're going to lose all the other 2-leggers, but we are going to get the return here on A and B. We're going to lose $800 on those. So, if you get 0, 1, or 2 right, you're losing big time. But when you start to get 3 or 4 right, that's where things get really interesting. Because when we get exactly 3 right, when we get A, B, and C right, we're going to lose the 4-legger, but we're going to get A, B, and C, this 3-legger, correct. We're also going to get A and B correct. We're also going to get A and C correct. And we're also going to get B and C correct. So now we're going to make money. $300 every time we get exactly 3 right, which is going to happen about 34% of the time. And then finally, the 12% of times that we get them all right, we win everything, right? We win every single combination of 2 legs, 3 legs, and our 4 legs, which is going to return $3,700. So because we now know how often we are going to return how much money, we can look at our expected value. So we can say If we did this a million times or infinity number of times, this is the amount that we would expect to return, considering we know the probabilities and the outcomes. So it looks like this. 12% of the time we're going to win $3,700. The expected value there is $471. When you add up all of the possible outcomes and the expected value from each, every time that you did this set of prop entries, you would expect to make $97.51. Again, there's going to be bad streaks, there's going to be good streaks, all that fun stuff. But with all the numbers that we have crunched, every time you do this, you are expected to win $97.51. So $97.51. If you do this 30 days in a row, 30 days a month, you do this every single day, you find 4 props that you have an edge on. That is $2,925 a month, basically $3,000 a month you are expected to make, the expected value of you doing this. If you do that for all 12 months, you are looking at $35,000 in expected value. You can obviously tweak these numbers, right? You can obviously change them to something that might be more affordable, or maybe you want to put more in there. You're going to need to be willing to go through kind of the bad runs and the good runs. So this might be a little bit of a high risk, high reward scenario. But what I'm trying to illustrate is over infinity, you have an edge here. There is an edge to be had. PrizePicks is paying out too much. They are not adequately creating efficient lines. And there are very few situations in sports betting where you can prove every single outcome in the totality of outcomes. When they come through and based on the payouts, you are a winner. Okay? It could be $1, and that would be better than most sports betting situations. The fact that we are at $97.51 in terms of expected value every single time we do this, it's incredible. It's incredible. You're very unlikely to find an edge like that anywhere else. So obviously, this is one example. There's going to be better ones and worse ones. I think I've done a pretty good job at showing you how to do this. In return, please use the code RICK when you go to deposit over at PrizePicks. There is a link in the description. Go and take them for all that they're worth over there. Let me know if you have any questions, comments, or concerns. You can tweet me at RickRunGood, or you can leave a comment below. I'll talk to you guys soon.